Hey, this is Sam Houston, and you're listening to Wrestling Nostalgia.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia with Dave Dynasty. Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Wrestling Nostalgia. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We got a really fun episode. I know I say that every time, but man, this was really good. We have Sam Houston on the show today. I have a great interview with him. We talk everything. We talk about his career. We talk about his family. We talk about Dark Side of the Ring and everything associated with that. We talk about his time in prison. Sam was no holds barred. He would discuss anything. He was very candid, very honest, and very fun to talk to. And we plan to have him back on the show again in the future and dive in a little deeper on a few topics. But we got a great interview today with him. I really hope you enjoy that. Hey, just remember, whatever podcast platform you're currently listening on, if that is your favorite, please make sure you subscribe to us and share those episodes when they come out. That is the best way for us to network and grow. We appreciate your support. Make sure you follow me on social media. I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Just look up at The Dave Dynasty on most of those. You can find me. X is my primary tool that I use on there. I post lots of things, not just necessarily the podcast links and whatever else. I post a lot of history, a lot of cards, a lot of pictures, dates, whatever it might be. Lots of cool stuff on there. So follow me, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. The best way that you can support this show, though, is if you go buy a t-shirt. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/thedavedynasty. Buy a shirt there. The best way to support the show is that we have several shirts to choose from. So go peruse and find one for yourself. Before we dive into the interview, I did want to say it looks like coming up on March 30th, I may be attending a wrestling show in Clayton, North Carolina. It is the 12th annual Ivan Koloff Memorial Tag Team Tournament, hosted by the NCWA. This looks to be a great show. Lots of cool people are going to be on it. Some legends are going to be on it, including the aforementioned Sam Houston. He's going to be at the show, along with Ricky Morton, the Barbarian, Shane Douglas, Tatanka, maybe it looks like Bushwhacker Luke's going to be there, and of course some local talent is going to be on there as well. So go check them out. I'm going to be sharing some of that stuff on my social media. This is a really cool show. I look forward to attending and seeing some independent wrestling in my area. I'm a big supporter, a big fan, of Ivan Koloff. So anything that is done in his memory is close to my heart. But again, this looks like a very fun show. If you're in the area, please attend and check them out and share these posts about this event. Let's help them have a big event and draw really good in memory of Uncle Ivan. So, all right. Well, then I think that's it. That's all the news we've got for now. All the new stuff to cover. I don't go into a lot of the current product. Just not my thing. It's not why. That's not the reason. That this podcast is called Wrestling Nostalgia. There's a reason for that nostalgia word in there. We like to talk about the past. We like to talk about history. We like to talk about some of the stuff that I enjoyed in the past and that I find fun. We do touch on current stuff every now and then when it's something that really tickles my fancy, so to speak. But nothing this week. But right up the vein of nostalgia and fun is that interview I got with Sam Houston. It's coming up in a moment, so hang in there and stick around. If you like horror movies, be sure to check out Dave Dynasty and Ike Isaacs on the Listen to Their Screams Horror Podcast. It is available on all podcast platforms and on social media at Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2, and Screams. All right, and welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia. I'm joined now by a very special guest, Sam Houston. Sam, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. I appreciate you coming on here and giving me some time.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to come on here and say hey to my fans and stuff. They've always been real close to me. We've always had a special connection, or I have, with the fans. They were always, I don't know. It's kind of like they always helped me, and I always, I was there for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of professional wrestling, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, let's get started. Yeah, as everyone knows, you come from a wrestling family. So what are some of your earliest memories of wrestling? I assume those, would go to your dad.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, being scared to death of guys like the Assassins and the Skinheads and everything, because they were busting my dad up every night.
Yeah.
So I was scared to death of, but my dad always overcame and stuff. The Kentuckians always got, got the big thing at the end. So, my dad was my superhero too, when, I don't know. It was just really rough because we weren't clued in.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you always think, hey, I want to follow in his footsteps. I want to do this too?
Well, yeah, from the time that I was, I guess, oh gosh, uh, about 5 years old or so, I knew I wanted to be up in there, and and then when I was in second grade, I went to a wrestling camp. This high school coach in Baton Rouge, Coach Murphy, he was the wrestling coach at Catholic High School. He did a summer camp 2 week long summer camp when I was in second grade, and I joined in and got to start working out with them. Well, what was really cool for me was, my dad was the booker.
Yeah.
The wrestling camp was on, a Saturday morning. Well, on those Saturday mornings they didn't have TV tapings. The boys who were amateur wrestlers like Jim Shields and Herb Calvert, and Mark Totten, and these guys, Danny Hodge, Dennis Stamp, all these guys came to what
Nice.
to watch amateur wrestling.
Yeah.
So that Coach Murphy let me start working out with the high school boys.
Yeah.
Because who's going to be able to, if I got friends like that, who's going to be able to teach those high school wrestlers better? If one of my friends comes down, a guy that teaches English and is a coach for the wrestling team, or somebody that's an AAU champion,
Yeah.
NAA, whatever. So I don't know. It worked out for me.
Yeah, and then you trained with your dad a little bit, but then you went on to Florida and you got trained, by somebody Dusty Rhodes and I think Magnum TA a little bit and stuff. How did you end up going to Florida and starting there?
Well, okay, all my life, I was geared to be a wrestler. I had my tonsils taken out when I was 17, and I died on the table. It was a horrible thing. I died on the table for 2 minutes. They had nicked my fornix during the tonsillectomy, and
Yeah.
I expired. Well, they got me back. It was a whole ordeal. It'd take
Yeah.
2 hours to tell you just about. But I had out of body experiences, the whole 9 yards. I didn't eat food from April the 1st that year till August the 13th.
Man.
I dropped from 230 pounds down to 128 pounds. So, anyway, I got out of the hospital and, I started trying to get my weight back up because I was at that age. I wanted to break in. And my dad told me, he said, I already lost you once. I'm not going to lose you again. He said, this business is not for you. So I ran away from home, and Dusty got me my start.
Right.
He started me out down in Florida.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe it'll surprise some people, but Sam Houston's not your birth name.
No, my birth name was Michael Smith.
Yeah.
But I didn't want. Okay, at that time in the wrestling business, a lot of things were going on. When Jake first started wrestling, he started wrestling under Jake Smith Jr.
Yep.
Well, guys, I guess took liberties or whatever because maybe Dad had been a little rough with them too.
Yeah.
Can't get even with the Giants, so get even with his kid. Hurt him more. And so Jake got hurt a couple of times and stuff. Well, when I broke in, when I went down to Florida, I went and had a meeting in the office with Dusty. And George Weingroff had already got me in the ring and tried to stretch. Well, he stretched me the first time, and I came back for it. And because I was going to do this. And the second time he couldn't stretch me. And he went and told my dad he's ready. And that's when my dad told me, no, you're not going to do it. Well, Dusty knew that I had already gone through George Weingroff. So Dusty and JJ was the one I just found out about a year ago that JJ was the assistant booker. And I was at the shows with my bag every night and the whole 9 yards. And JJ went up to me and said, hey, give the kid a shot, at least. And Dusty, because my dad Dusty was getting ready to retire in 1969. And he was on his way back to Austin, Texas. He stopped at the sportatorium. He was going to wrestle my dad and put my dad over and go and be a plumber. And my dad got him in the ring in the sportatorium that night. He felt the electricity. He felt the heat. And my dad put him over in the middle of the ring. And when he come back, Fritz told him he thought, you know, he's going to get a butt chewed out. And Fritz told him, he said, you did the right thing, that man's money. And so Dusty credited my dad as to giving him his big break. So Dusty was sort of returning the favor through me, you know, because he's you know, I guess, oh gosh, there was a lot of sentiment to Dusty.
Yeah. So did Dusty give you the name Sam Houston?
Yeah, he goes, your name is going to be Michael Sam Houston, baby.
Yeah, that sounds like a Dusty name.
Go right across the sky on the edge of a lightning bolt.
Oh, well, in '85 you moved to Mid-Atlantic, where you're probably most known for. And
actually, I got there in '84.
Okay, wait, was it Dusty that brought you in there?
Huh?
Was it Dusty that brought you over to Mid-Atlantic?
No, Dusty sent me to Mid-Atlantic.
Oh, so he was still in Florida.
Yeah, he was still in Florida. It's an interesting story. Okay, I learned this business from the office side out.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, because I grew up in the business.
Yeah, right.
So, and let's see, I'd been working in Florida for 3 months and getting to work 6 and 7 nights a week, about 9-10 times a week, you know. And so I was really learning and traveling with the boys and pulling ribs and the whole 9 yards. Well, Dusty sent me to the Carolinas, you know, because he got to change faces down in Florida. So he sent me to the Carolinas, but he was going through negotiations, you know, with Crockett over the Starcades and the back, you know, these things. Dusty was a big money ball player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in because at the time you had 5 or 6 bookers in the Carolinas, all trying to, you know, you had a head booker, one guy had this date, one guy had this date, one guy had, you know, and it was all kind of, I don't know, it was kind of hard the way it was run together, put together. It couldn't keep storylines, and there was always squabbling over talent. Of course, we were running three towns a night,
right?
You know. So Dusty come in and he started with negotiations with Crockett. So whenever I was only working for Crockett about 1 or 2 days a week, you know, and we were really starving our butts off. But when Dusty would fly in, I'd pick him up at the airport. We'd take the office Buick because it was newer than mine. We'd take that and I you know, drive him around the territory, drive around to the shots, and we'd talk about what was going on. And so anyway, he signed the contract and came on up and brought everybody else up. And then it's kind of like stuff started happening with me. I guess the people really got behind me. Dusty took me on an interview after I got 27 stitches in my head. And the next week, that week, the box office was $6,000 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They brought me back the next week after that. And I think I was in Dusty's corner. I don't know. It might have been a 6-man. It was me, Dusty, and Magnum against Arnoli and Tully. But we went from 6,000 to over 18 grand.
Yeah.
I remember pulling up to the building. Dusty said, "Baby, if the house ain't picked up, your days of the main event is over."
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, something must have been done right, because you had to run with the Mid-Atlantic title, and so you know things must have been clicking and everything. What was it like? I mean, when you look back in the history of wrestling, that's a very prestigious title. I mean, I understand, right? Oh, it's a work, it's a gimmick, whatever, but still. To be put in that spot is it's got to be an honor.
Oh, it was the greatest, you know. You know, I mean, anytime an organization or somebody wants to put the strap. They're saying you're the best. They want you to represent that company.
Yep.
And that's an awesome deal, especially when a matter of fact, and this is the greatest thing in the world. My wife, as gifts, has been getting me replicas of the
Oh, yeah.
titles I've won.
Yeah.
So I've got 4 of them right now, and the Mid-Atlantic one was the first one that came. So, and there's always going to be, that was Flair's title.
Yeah. Right.
That was, yeah, and it's always going to be, I guess, recognized as one held by, but guys like Steamboat, Flair, and, Valentine.
Yep.
So it's a pretty cool, Wahoo,
Yep.
pretty cool deal, pretty cool line to be put up with, put up in.
Yeah. Yeah. And around this time, you married Baby Doll, and you guys have 2 daughters. And
Right.
I just want to sidetrack this for a moment because one of those daughters is now in the business, wrestling as Samantha Starr, got a huge future. She's talented. How do you feel knowing that, hey, here's another generation of your family in the business?
It's awesome, when I got out of prison, my daughter had already had her first match, and but I wanted to make sure she was ready and could handle herself. So I got out of prison and everything, and I made a trip to visit, and I hadn't seen Michaela since she was 17. It was a rough trip.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I got there, and she found a ring, and we went to go work out in it, and I taught her some things, and but then I taught her some things she needed to know.
Right.
If somebody does something that's way across the line or something like that, you end it quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I taught her how to do that. I made her make her ex-boyfriend cry, real tears. I did. Anyway, so I know my daughter can handle herself, and yeah, it's a hard life, and I understand, and I'm there for everything she needs, or any questions, or any way I can help. Because in my life and everything that I've been through, I want to encourage people to always move forward.
Right.
I don't want to ever stick my finger in anybody's face and try to hold them down or push them back.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to crush dreams. I want to enable them. I want to be that added little gas, that added little inspiration you get,
Yeah.
I know so many times in my life, I felt like I couldn't go on, but somebody always inspired me, encouraged me, pushed me.
Yeah.
I didn't lay down. When it came to drinking, I drew a line in the dirt. I haven't drank in over 14 years. I was bad, dude.
And
I drew a line in the dirt, and I stepped over that line, and I said, I ain't gonna drink no more.
yeah. Well,
I haven't touched. I could have drank in prison.
yeah.
People
Yeah.
were making stuff in prison.
Yeah.
Don't think you can't. Oh, he's in jail. He's safe. That's
No.
bull.
Right.
You can get whatever you want in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to come through. You gotta be okay with the way it's coming through. It ain't gonna be nothing nice.
Yeah. No, that's something. 14 years sober. Man, congratulations on that. I mean, what an accomplishment. And it's always good. We'll talk about a little bit with your prison here in a little bit, but it's always good to hear someone go through you've not hidden from what your mistakes and what you've done, and it's nice to see you the way you've come out on the other side.
I can't get nothing out of it if I hide from it.
Correct. Right.
And I learned, okay, oh, well, you want to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's get to that. Well, we talked about Baby Doll, and I don't want to get in a dirt slinging and all, but how do you respond when people say, and I've heard Tony Schiavone said this publicly, that you had heat in the Crockett locker room because of your relationship with Baby Doll?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, I think that was in, the nails in the coffin, I guess, is what you'd say. You know.
Well, Baby Doll said at this, you're already heavy into the alcohol. I mean, I'm sure that
that lowers your inhibitions, lowers your whatever. I'm sure that didn't help. That
Yeah, I
some
mean,
of the
dude,
things you were
okay,
saying.
I was in a culture where you got okay, where their last call they were ordering 50 kamikazes and 50 Coors Lights, and you got your boss telling you if you're going to run with the big dogs, you got to get off the porch. So you feel like you got to be the last man standing.
Yeah.
And I was able to outdrink everybody. I mean, I was able to function. I functioned for almost 19 years drinking 3 fifths of whiskey a day.
Man.
You know?
Yeah. So
I
you
mean,
don't.
I had a problem, dude.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't deny the heat. What people are saying, yeah, you were difficult to deal with at times. Is that what you're saying?
I wasn't difficult. I would do it. I did anything they wanted to.
Yeah.
But the thing was, I stood up for her.
Gotcha. Okay.
I wouldn't let the other guys treat her like an arena rat.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I had to use that term, but
no, that's okay. So how's your relationship with Baby Doll now?
I have got so much respect and I care so much because she's the mother of my children. Nothing but props to her,
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
I've accepted the blame. There's not much anything else I can do.
Correct.
I wish her the best, and happy trails.
Yep. There you go. Well, like you said, you kind of went on the outs with Crockett, and then you went through Central States where you held the title there. You went through UWF for a bit. You wound up around 87 in the WWF. And I got to ask you, because it's always caught the whole dancing thing. Sam Houston dancing in the WWF. Was that a Vince McMahon thing?
No.
No.
I had done it, I don't know, and the people went nuts, and then Watts liked it, and I didn't do it too much for them, but every time because at the club afterward, I'm always kicking up my heels. I'm the guy that two-stepped with Trisha Yearwood. Ron Simmons was there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, around this time, you had to have something on WWF TV, right? Everybody had.
Well, they were looking for something. It was just something to put me, make it a little bit different. I don't know, but hey, look where it got me. I got to dance with Mike McGurk around the ring, and
there you go.
And some of the biggest. I got looked at by 30,000 people. I'm wearing a pair of Speedos, cowboy boots, and I'm dancing a two-step with Mike McGurk.
Yeah, it could have been worse, right?
Yeah, I'm living the life, guy.
Yeah. I mean, you had a pretty good run in WWF, right? I mean, you were up there for a while. But what's kind of not odd, I don't want to say odd, that's not the right word, but unique, is that there was a time when you were there, Jake Roberts was there, your brother, Rocket Robin was there, your sister, the whole, pretty much all you kids were there. And, you guys didn't grow up close or whatever else, but was there any time when you were there, did you ever get to spend any more time around each other, grow any closer, or was it just too fast, the lifestyle?
Oh, I mean, the lifestyle was fast, but we were doing it together, so it was fun. We had a whole lot of good times on the road together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's wild to think of the three of you being there at that, at that same time.
We all got along, and I helped Jake with the snake all the time. I remember in where was it? Niagara Falls. I think it was Niagara Falls on the New York side.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jake was wrestling, and it was either Ron Bass or Nikolai Volkov. I can't remember which. I knew it was a great big guy. I wasn't really paying attention to the match.
Yeah.
Okay, in the locker room, if it was cold and everything, well, Jake wouldn't. If he could, he would put the snake in the shower,
right,
and have the hot water going on for the snake.
Yeah,
because if he had it in the bag, guys would go by and kick the snake in the bag, or throw the bag up in the air. They were brutal.
Jeez.
you know. Well, Jake went to go throw the snake out, and I hadn't been there long. And he went to go throw it out, and when he put the snake on either Ron or Nikolai, the snake bit them in the leg, and then it come up and it bit Jake in the armpit, like the left armpit first. When Jake went down for that, then it got I think either his forearm or got his forearm and then his finger. Got him like boom, boom, boom. So he's down holding himself. The snake slithers out to the ring. Now, I had already showered. I was the only guy that would go and take a shower if the snake was in the shower. Because whatever wall that snake was on, I'd go to the other one and be watching it, Because I had to handle it a little bit, not much. But I'd get my shower in there before and then when Jake would go to the ring, all the other guys would jump in the shower and get their shower. So it'd be a full house during his match.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm dressed in my street clothes and I'm watching this match, and the snake slithers out of the ring and onto the floor, and now it's going around the ring, and about I don't know 6 feet or so is sticking up. He's slithering up, so the head is like 6 feet in the air, and the people in the front row are reaching over the railing and high-fiving that snake in the back of the head. His snake's going nuts. So Strongbow is standing there, and he goes, Dancing Sam. He said, you need to run out there and help your brother with that snake. I said, Chief, that's his snake, not mine. He said, Dancing Sam, you need to run out there and help your brother with that snake. And I'm thinking, well, why ain't you going out there?
Yeah.
And I said, Chief, that's his snake, not mine. And then he said, Dancing Sam, if you want to wake up tomorrow morning still employed with the WWF, you will run out there and get that snake. I was like, shit, here I go. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I ripped my shirt off because, the rule is for old-time wrestlers, when you're going to the ring, make sure you get your shirt off so the security and everybody knows,
Yeah, right.
who you are. You're one of the boys.
Yeah.
So I got my shirt in my hand, and I'm running up. I run around the ring, and I come up behind the snake, and I throw my shirt on the snake's head, and I jump, and I take it down. I grab it right behind its head. And I go all the way down to the ground with it. The snake's body is between my knees. I'm on my knees. That snake wrapped around me and started squeezing up and choking me out, putting me out. There was nothing I could do. Right before I passed out, or right before I was about to pass out, I knew I was going out. That cave was dark, and then Jake got the snake off of me. Like, wow.
You almost did the job to the snake.
Yeah, well, couldn't. Well, if you don't do it for him, you do it for the snake.
That's right.
One of them's getting over.
Yeah. After you left the WWF, you went through WCW, USWA. But kind of your next real lengthy kind of stop was Global, and man, Global. It didn't get talked about. There was a lot of good talent there, a lot of action. It did get a lot of attention back in the day. What was it like working in Global?
Global was fun. But for me at that point in my life, everything was a party.
Yeah.
And you're only when it was my thing was alcohol.
Yeah.
You're just looking for that next warm feeling, fuzzy feeling going down the back of your throat. And that's all it takes to satisfy. I don't know. The talent was good. I remember working with Sean Waltman down there. I was skinny, but he was littler than me, and I knew, well, nobody's ever going to give this kid nothing. Let me go out here. My job as a champion is to go out here and make the other people.
Yeah.
So I gave him stuff. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed myself. Scott Putski. Wow, what an athlete that guy is,
Yeah.
And he's second generation as well.
Yeah,
So we had a good time, I guess. Oh gosh. So uh I I just got the title or something like that, and I'd never dealt with TV producers before.
Yeah.
And the booker comes, Eddie Gilbert comes up to me and he goes, and I loved Eddie. Eddie and I had awesome matches. Um, anyway, Eddie comes to me. He said the producers want you to do blonde streaks in your hair. I was like, oh wow, okay, what? Now they're telling me how to cut my hair. I was like, I don't know, I don't know. I don't like people telling me what to do,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then,
but I had a good time there.
yeah. You went around, did some indies and whatever else. Traveled around the world a lot. I heard that you have a wild story about wrestling in New Guinea. And
Oh yeah, I
tell
got a lot of wild
well,
stories.
I heard there was one involving a group of wrestlers and some cannibals.
Well, it was me.
Oh, just you.
Okay, it was okay. Okay, it was me the first time, and then me and my tag team partner. Well, he was my opponent over there, but me and him the second time, Charlie Norris.
Yeah.
Charlie Thunderblood Norris was well, first of all, I'd gotten hurt, and after the global and all that stuff, I was hurt. I had some severe neck injuries. That's why I left WCW. And I didn't walk well. I was partially paralyzed. I had nerve damage, all kinds of stuff. And this doctor out in California started working on me, and he worked on me 9 months, doing a lot of stuff to me. Some procedures were not approved here in the States, but they use them all over the place.
Yeah.
They use some of them in Canada.
Yeah.
So and I was no stranger to it, but he got me back on my feet real good. And then the Northridge earthquake hit, and I was in LA for that. And then I re-injured myself knocking doors down, getting people out of their homes. So I was down another 6 months. Then I come back to WCW and to visit my dad, and he had complications from a surgery. And I met when I got my dad out of the hospital. Charlie was there, and I had worked with him. I didn't remember it. I had wrestled him about 4.5 years earlier in Savannah, Georgia, at his WWE tryout. And I was carrying my dad in the hospital, and here's this big 6'6", 305-pound Chippewa Indian. And he says, Sam Houston. I said, yeah. He said, you remember me? And I was like, no. He said, you whipped my ass about 4 years ago at my WWE tryout. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, God, this big son of a gun wants to fight. I was like, oh, shit. And he said, is that your dad? I said, yeah. So he helped me. Well, he had just signed a developmental deal or a deal with WCW. And they were giving him problems at the power plant. So I started training him. And after about 3 months of training him, he said, you need to be back in there. And I told everybody, I said, I'm done with the wrestling business. My career is over. I've been, hurt twice. If something happens, there's no guarantees. And he said, no, he said, I'm 305 pounds, 6'6". He goes, we get in the ring for 2 or 3 hours. He goes, I can't do a damn thing with you. You need to be back in there. And I said, well, if I had I'd do it in a tag situation maybe. And he said, what about your brother? I said, well, Jake would feed me to the wolves. So yeah, I said, but if I get hurt, I want somebody that's going to come in there and kill everybody. And he said, I'll do it. And that's how we got hooked up. So anyway, we were working in Texas, and we all went over to New Guinea. So I knew something was up when we get there, and there's totem poles out the airport. So we're going down these like little 2-lane little asphalt roads, and then dirt paths and stuff like that. And we're in a radio station van. They take us up the mountain to this beautiful like marble hotel, looked like a castle or something, and iron gates and stuff. And the Australian army was all over the place. Well, we get there and there's a big party and we don't know what we're getting into. And I'm drinking the Crown Royal like it's going out of style. Anyway, so the next morning I have to be at the soccer uh field.
Mhm.
They've got a big like a fan fest thing, a
Yeah.
meet and greet.
Yeah.
And it was sponsored by the Spears Cigarette Company, which that was wild. Look that up on the internet. There's the cigarettes are like black and mild cigar size, but they're rolled in the Australian daily newspaper. So they're killing the people off with
Jesus.
lead poisoning in the ink.
Oh.
That's a form like a genocide thing, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so go over there the next morning. They've got me in a small little ring. It's probably like 4x4. And I'm standing in this little ring and I'm signing autographs as people walk by. And I'm looking at I thought I was in a Tarzan movie. I really did. So I go to take a little break. So I'm over there and I'm smoking on a dirt path outside the hotel, smoking on a dirt path. And here comes a guy walking down the street and he's wearing a loincloth like a Tarzan. He's got a great big long machete or a grass knife on his hip. He's carrying a spear by he's dressed up like a little miniature Kamala. Got a bow and arrow over his shoulders, got a big bone through his nose, bones through his nipples, and he's walking straight up to me. And I'm expecting something like that.
Yeah.
But instead he walks right up to me. He goes, "Pardon me, mate. Come up, could a bum a smoke?" I was like, "Damn, you talk better English than I do." So I gave him a cigarette and lit it. And he walking off. Then I go back over and I look back over, and here's a woman walking down the path, and she's nursing a baby on one breast and a piglet on the other. Well, I'm in a whole other world. A pig's life is worth more than a human's life over there. Anyway, so I'm signing autographs and the whole 9 yards, and boom, 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 boom. I gotta go pee. So I go to the bathroom to pee, and I drank a lot of Crown Royal the night before. I stopped and get a Coke. As I'm getting a Coke and drinking it, the people pick me up, and they put me on their shoulders, and they're tossing me. I thought I was like at one of them punk rock parties or something,
Yeah.
doing the body surfing or something. But
Yeah.
they're carrying me. And they carried me like this all the way out to the gates. I'm thinking they think I'm a king. I'm on top of the world because I'm thinking that I'm the life of this party. Well, when I got to the front gates, that's when the army transports and everything, a bunch of jeeps and everything, everybody pulls up, and all these army dudes jump out and they're shooting people with rubber bullets. They've got these clubs, they're beating them back with these clubs, and these Rottweilers, man, these Rottweilers were so wide you could have probably put a saddle on one of them and rode. They were snatching people by the head. I can't get that image of just the jaws clamping down on about 115, 20-pound person and dragging it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So I was like, whoa. So they get me, this major gets me, and he puts me in the transport. And he goes, "Hey, mate," he goes, because they had told us don't go nowhere without the guards. Oh, well, so anyway, excuse me. So he goes, "Hey, mate," he goes, "You ever watch Bugs Bunny? Bugs Bunny? Yeah." He goes, "You know the one with the little Ethiopian?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "There was a big black pot in your future, mate." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "They were going to eat me. They were going to boil me up, cook me up. They were going to scare the what out of me, boil me up, eat me up, and then my spirit would live through them." the spirit of a warrior, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, you know. And so that night we got to wrestle. I mean, I'm already blown away. So we got to go out there and work 2 40-minute single matches. We got to go at least 40 minutes in the singles matches, and then we got to have at least 40 minutes in a tag match. There was only 4 of us: me, Action Jackson, Killer Brooks, and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out there, and after the first match that I worked, I'm coming out of the ring, and you know you're blowed up. You're like, so, and I coming out of the ring as soon as I break the barricade, the little bitty barricade they got. Boom! The first bam, I get clocked. Like, whoa! I was like, what the hell? And then boom from the other side. And then boom, and I got people hitting me in the back. I'm like, what the hell? And I take off. And I'm just bulldozing and running through everything. And I get back to the back, and I'm like, what the, is going on out there? And they said, oh, mate, they're paying honor to you. They're honoring you. They're honoring me. Said, yeah. He said they see me doing that in the ring, and they're showing their approval by honoring me by doing it to me. I'm gonna tell you something. When I came out of the ring after that tag match, I had some gas left in the tank, and I honored everybody that come up to me. Oh, I honored them good.
Oh
So
man.
anyway, 2 days later or 3 days later, there was something happened. Some flight didn't come in. They had to have planes had to bring fresh water to the area.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you couldn't drink, but anyway, and the planes had to come from Japan. So I don't get that either.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they were out of water, so me and Charlie are sitting there, and there's like a village grocery store, which is about the size of maybe like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And that's their big grocery store. There's one of those about maybe a block away from the hotel door. So we figured we could make it. We went over there to get a bottle of water, and that's all they had was one bottle of water. Well, we partners and everything, is a half gallon, we'll split it. And we get to the counter, and by the time that we'd gotten in there, looked, found the water, and got to the counter, there were between 3,000 and 4,000 rascals, is what they called them, the natives over there. 3,000 and 4,000 rascals out in front of that store trying to get at us. I had to call the army to come get us that day too. It was wild over there.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Oh yeah, they got this nut that grows on a tree. It's called beetle nut.
Uh-huh.
And what they do is they put it on a mustard leaf, and then they put the nut on there and a spoonful of lime that you put in your garden to kill snails.
Uh-huh. And
they roll that up and they chew it. And then they spit out this red fluorescent spit. I mean, this glow-in-the-dark stuff. Well, anyway, they do this, and they eat the meat of the nut, but they chew the juice out. It gives them a cocaine high, Huh. And then it gives them a cocaine high, and then like they live in these Gilligan's Island huts. There'll be like 7 or 8 huts over here, about 15 huts over here. You'll have one guy come out from one side and one guy come out from the other side with these long grass knives. And after the matches, we buy a case of beer, go up on the balcony at the hotel and watch them hack each other to death at night.
Jeez. Wow.
I was sitting we were in Port Moresby. I had Charlie in a headlock. And we've been in the ring for a little while. All of a sudden, all this big commotion, the natives knocked down, like, I don't know how long a soccer field is, but the soccer field length, they knocked down wrought iron fencing, that whole length of the soccer field. Okay.
Mhm.
They knocked it down and they overtook us and they're running onto the wrestling event. And all of a sudden, the next thing, I boom, boom. So I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I go back to tag, put my hand out. I'm trying to see what's going on. All this riot's coming this way. I'm trying to tag, and I hear, "No, stay in there." And I look back, and AJ's hiding behind the ring post, and he says, "You're a smaller target. They're shooting." And the
Jeez.
army was shooting. So I was like, well, hell with this, man. I'd let the headlock go, and I dove underneath the ring.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting up underneath the ring for a minute. And finally, I think it was AJ or Charlie one, they looked underneath. What are you doing? I said, it's a lot safer under here. And we all sat underneath there until they got everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wild.
Yeah. Well,
I
and we
I came back home and told my dad, I said, thanks, Dad, but you're not booking us on any more overseas tours.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, we mentioned it earlier, but in 2005, you were sentenced to prison for DUI offenses. You've spoke a lot about this and how it since then you've been sober. But tell us, you have a story about being in prison and thinking about this is it. I don't want to go any further. And then and things not working out the way you thought. So tell us a little bit about that in prison.
Okay, well, it's so like I was dealing with a lot of stuff. I was a bad alcoholic. I just come through rehab, a lot of stuff. And no matter how you shuffled the deck, the cards weren't coming in right. You
Mhm.
know, and so much stuff was going on in my life. Well, I had made an improper lane change. They smelled alcohol, but evidently there was something about probable cause. So they only charged me with the improper lane change. I left. Um, so I checked myself into center court, or they gave me the ticket for improper lane change. I knew I had a problem, so I checked myself into center court. It's a 2 year long rehab.
Mhm.
Because I knew a short term thing wasn't going to work for me. I'd been through like 11 or 12 28-day programs, a couple of year long outpatient things, but nothing worked. So I checked myself into Cinecore, and I was there 3 months to the day. And I had to go to court to pay the ticket for the improper lane change. They threw the improper lane change out and then hit me with a fourth offense DWI. And I told the district attorney, I said, I've never had a third offense DWI. And he said to me, he goes, if we have to redo the paperwork, he goes, I'm going to hit you with DWI, third offense. He goes, and then I'm going to hit you with the Habitual Offender Act. He goes, and you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. He said, you sign off on this fourth offense. He said, if you sign off, we'll give you the minimum, which is 10 years. You'll do roughly around 5, and then 5 on parole. He said, or if you go to fight it, we're going to give you 30 years flat. And I was blown away. So they handcuffed me and they took me to the Baton Rouge jail. And excuse me, they because I was a wrestler, they viewed me as a security threat. So they put me on murderer's row. I can't remember I think it was L wing or whatever. It was horrible. It was a wing with 40 of the worst pieces of shit probably ever, whatever. I don't know.
Monsters.
So they throw me in there, and this one old black man comes up to me. He goes, "My name is Matthews. I killed 3 white women. What'd you do?" And I looked him dead in the eye and I told him improper lane change.
Oh man.
Everybody backed off. I'm a big guy,
Yeah.
So anyway, but I had a lot to think about on that wing. Now, you were in 2-man cells, and there was 20 cells down that hallway, 1 shower, 1 toilet. No, every cell had the little toilet, the little silver thing, but there was only the 1 shower stall. And I'm talking screaming, hollering noise all night long. I mean, all day long, all night. Yeah, and vile crap, and just stuff you don't want to. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and they're telling me I got to live 10 years of this or 30 years of this. Or, my best way out is 5 years. I was like, I wasn't strong enough to do that, man.
Yeah.
So the guy that was my cellie at first, he killed a couple of people and then poured gas on one guy and lit him on fire. But that guy survived, and the DA got his deposition on film. So whenever my cellie's family tried to strong arm that guy, and the guy tried to take his testimony back, DA had it on film, so they were able to go ahead and nail this guy. Anyway, that's one of my. He had a way of fixing the gate, the door. He'd put something in the door so when they would automatically close, it wouldn't latch, and then he would open the cell door down and sneak down and go talk to his buddy all night long. Which was cool with me. Well, I'm sitting there and I can't do this, man. So I took my bed sheet and he had a razor blade, and I slit that bed sheet and I braided it together. And I couldn't live like this. I'd made my decision to run the sheets through the bars. My rack was on top, so I got up there. I got crouched down on the top rack, and I made 2 nooses, and I put them over my head. And I said, "God, only you can stop this now." And I figured the way that I worked as a rigger or a scaffold supervisor and everything offshore.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to tie knots and I know how to do stuff. So I wrapped the sheet around the bars. And I figured with my weight and everything, what should break my neck. And put both nooses around my neck. Said, "God, only you can stop this now." And I took a deep breath and I jumped. And when I jumped, when I hit the ground, my feet, that's only like maybe 5.5 feet up my rack from the floor.
Yeah.
I hit the ground so hard that the soles of my feet were bruised for weeks. Both nooses broke. They didn't tear. They broke. I dropped to my knees. I was on my knees on that bottom rack. And I said, "God, I'll never try to hurt myself again." 5 days later, I did a lot of talking to God that night about doing whatever I could to make myself a better person. It was evident to me they didn't want me in society anymore.
Right.
I wasn't real bad, but I just, I don't know, into a lot of mischief.
Mm-hmm.
But society didn't want me anymore, so I had to do whatever I could do to work on myself and be the person I needed to be, what I'm expected to be. I don't choose to be a leader or anything like that. I walk my own way. People like what they see in me. I'll be more than happy to share it.
Yeah.
Every day of my life is a blessing now. So every day in prison or whatever day I got was a blessing, even though I was in some of the worst places you could always, I still gave thanks because I wasn't gone,
Right.
and he's had other purposes and places for me to be and things for me to do. I know that he's put me in situations that I had to be there to save somebody or to help somebody. May the 19th, down in 2019, they locked me back up for probation or parole violation. Kept me locked up in A-Meat for 11 months. I didn't have a bad attitude. This fella that was on this TV show, Louisiana Flip and Move, he was a carpenter, contractor. I'm sorry. He got 3 guys jumped on him. Oh, there was like 4 involved, all in all. But jumped on him. By the time I got there, they'd already stabbed him, fractured his skull, broke his nose, his eye sockets, his cheekbones. Had stabbed him, I said, and they were trying to kill him by the time I got there. His buddies took off and left him. I got in there and got him out of there. And when he came out of his coma, he asked how I was doing. And they were saying, why are you worried about him? He said, because he saved my life. He got in there and got me. And they came to my cell to try to finish him off 4 times, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
But that being there, well, they came and got me out of that cell right then, and they looked at my stuff and they said, "Oh, well, we're going to put you as a trustee and put you over at the hospital helping people." And the hospital was glad. I was glad because it was a blessing in disguise. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in my life, you know. But yeah, but everything I do, I do to try to make myself, I don't know, a better person. I tried to do the right things. I give everything a lot more thought. Prison was hard, but it was a blessing. Prison saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the intent, right? That's what it's supposed to be. And I mean, it's good to see that you came out better on the other side. I mean, that's
Yeah, but the thing you have to do is accept.
correct. Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you're in denial the whole time about it, oh, well, they did this to me. And that's
Yeah.
what happens. That's 99.9% of the guys that, because they don't want to stand up and be accountable.
Correct. Right.
I wanted to be held accountable, or no, I didn't want. I'd really rather chose not to, But I went through hell. I came out the other side though, a better man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you along with your brother and sisters, you participated in the episode of The Dark Side of the Ring about your father and family. When you saw that episode after it was done and you watched it, what did you think about the finished product?
Well, that's just, I don't know.
I mean, do you feel like it was a fair representation? Do you feel like that what you saw was?
See, okay, oh gosh, I'm the guy that wasn't okay. I was not sexually abused or I don't think physically abused. I mean, so I can't speak on that.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I know what my dad was to me, but
Right.
I mean, oh gosh, I saw him in both lights. I didn't find out about the hidden stuff until I didn't start finding out on that. I think I was almost 30.
Yeah.
And I never denied anything. I don't think I've ever said no. That didn't. I've never said anything like that. But I never knew the extent of anything. I didn't know the extent of some of my sister's stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know the full extent of all of it, probably, but I didn't know a lot of some stuff until 2017.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and I mean that's a difficult situation to be in, right? If you hadn't experienced and you didn't see that side personally, it's got to be difficult because a lot of people when they hear that they would just be like, "There's no way," right?
Well,
You
after the
didn't seem
thing
to.
with that my brother Richard and they talk about on the Dark Side of the Ring, the trip down to New Orleans and Robin. Okay, I
Mhm,
was in Lubbock visiting my kids.
mhm.
I got a phone call that I needed to fly Richard and Paula. So I meet them at the airport. We all fly down to Mississippi. I'm a drunk. I don't know what's going on. And
Yeah.
I wasn't involved in the conversations, you know.
Mhm.
So um, but I do remember telling my dad after that, I knew there had to be something going on about touching or something.
Right.
So I did tell my dad that night in Biloxi. I came back from the riverboat casino because if you play, they give you free booze.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just being real.
You're right.
You know, I can sit there and enjoy a slot machine on $1 for a long time.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No, you know, when you're that way, when it's that way, it's that way. Come on,
Yep.
let's
Yep.
be real.
True. True.
You know, when I talk, I want to be able to help people, and I can't help people if I ain't real.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
But anyway, I told my dad I have to come back, and I he's sitting there trying to justify things.
Mhm.
So and I'm, I'm really kind of not involved, or kind of, you're not. Nobody's letting me in to tell me what's going on. You don't want to tell me what's going on, but you're hinting at things,
Yeah.
you know. And I just let my father know that if he or any other person ever touched my daughters, that I would kill him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I felt about my kid. You know,
Hmm.
I love my daughters with everything.
Yeah.
Um, you know, they're the greatest blessings in the world to me, and I
Yeah.
always have to give Nicola. Nicola did a wonderful job raising those girls.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get to see them for 13 years, but I couldn't understand that the thing that took my pain away from not having them was causing me not to have them. I couldn't figure that out because I
Yep.
was such a wet noodle in the head,
Yep. Yep.
you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, now that this has all been talked about a lot, and whatever else, and you and Jake and Robin, you're all sober. You're all seemingly in good places.
Robin's sober now?
Well, I don't know. I assume.
Oh,
I don't know.
well, if she is, that's news, but okay.
No. I'm assuming. I don't know. I mean, I just assumed that
Oh, well, I hope she is.
that she was
Well,
in it.
she never recognized herself as having a problem anyway, and I don't think anybody else does either.
Yeah.
But Robin's always like been a social drinker, and you know, so she'll have a real good timer, I guess.
Yeah. So, well, maybe you're answering my question. Do you ever think there's a chance of you three building a relationship, getting closer, or do you just think at this point in your lives that ship has sailed some?
Oh no, I love to I like to sit down with anybody, have fun with everybody.
Yeah.
My door's always open. And I'm trying to do some things that would be helpful for the guys too. Hey, dude, I got this. Maybe something. Okay, uh, Black Bart,
I do.
right?
Yeah.
We had a lot of memorable matches, bull rope matches,
Yeah.
Texas death
Probably
matches.
probably the wrestler you're most tied with is you and
Huh?
Black Bart. I said I would think you and Black Bart. I mean, that's the wrestler you're most tied with in your career is you and
Well,
Black
I
Bart.
don't know. There's like Danny Davis. I was tied with,
Well, that's true. That's true in your WWF. Yeah, but I
yeah.
always think about you and Bart in the Mid Atlantic days.
Okay. Oh, see, those were the great days.
Uh-huh.
And I was part of it. I mean, we were. Anyway,
And Bart's going through some things now, right? Medically.
yeah, he is. His book just came out,
Yep.
and I want to encourage everybody to reach out there because boy, I didn't believe he really talked good about me in here because I mean we did something in Baltimore and in Philadelphia that we talked about for years. It's been being talked about over 30 years now. It's going to be talked about for years to come too. We just tore it all up that night. We left it, but anyway, uh, he's going through cancer, some
Right.
cancer issues, some real rough stuff.
Yeah.
And financially, the wrestling business is not kind, or it might be kind today, but it was not kind in our day.
Yeah. Right.
So I was sitting there, and we were at the WrestleCon or something in Dallas, and I had a table there set up. So I asked if he'd like to come up, and because they say you can let somebody sit with at your table
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. You're allowed 2 stars
Yeah.
per table. So I figured, well, I got a table. I can have somebody, help somebody out, help somebody else out. So called Bart up and he come on down. We sat and visited for a little while, and he come and he sold some pictures and stuff. We had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about some problems he was going through, his health issues and stuff. Oh, and this hurt me more than anything else is he had a pair of boots, a pair of those double eagle Austin Hall cowboy boots that Dusty had given him.
Right. Yeah.
And a collector wanted to buy them, and he sold them. I don't think Mark got nowhere near after looking at, my boots. There's somebody on eBay selling a pair of my boots for 10 grand or 12 grand.
Jeez.
On eBay. But anyway, Bart sold those boots, and it really hurt me that he had to sell that. Well, now he's going through some issues with the chemotherapy, and cancer treatment's not cheap.
Correct. Right.
So I got some bells and some ropes and some other stuff, and I got Black Bart to make these little small Texas bull ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've signed one side, he signed the other side of the bell, and it comes in a potato sack with his picture on one side of the sack and mine on the other. It's silk screened on the potato sack.
Yeah.
That's a little tongue in cheek. If everybody knows in wrestling, potato's a stiff shot.
Right. Correct. Yeah.
So you get a Texas bull rope, a potato with a potato shot, a signed autograph picture of one of mine and Bart's bloodier battles, and a couple other things. And I'm only going to do this. I'm only going to sign this many bells. We started off. I was going to make 30 bells. So Bart kept one. I kept one. And I've got 28 bells, or no, I only got 22 bells for sale, cowbells for sale now. And they're $1,000. And all the money goes to pay for Bart's cancer treatments. So if you got some collectors out there,
yeah, absolutely.
We're getting ready to put these up on eBay and stuff. But I figure, I want to do what I can to help my brother. And
absolutely.
There's a whole lot of wrestling fans that can help and would help. Well, I'm giving you the opportunity to.
Yeah, and Bart also has a GoFundMe, which I'll put the link to that in the show notes. And like you said,
I sure would appreciate that.
Yeah,
Bart and me was enemies, was friends, all kind of stuff. Even when he was my tag team partner, I'd still hit him.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got a copy of his book that Vincent Barry, the guy he did the book with, sent me. He sent me a copy, and I just spoke with Bart on Facebook just so that when he's through with his treatments and feeling get some of his strength back, he's going to come on and talk to me too. So so how can I know you've got a Facebook page for you that like a fan type page? Would that be the best way for people
Well, we've got the Sam Houston page. Then there's my page is Michael Sam Houston, but I'm under so many restrictions for my political, views. I think this country's going in the wrong way. I think we need to draw a line in the dirt, stop all this crap, put our thinking caps on, and start doing stuff the right way again.
Yeah. So is the Sam Houston page, is that the best way for people to be able to see when you put the bells up on eBay?
Oh yeah, that's gonna
okay.
be the best way, because my page, I get opinionated a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll put a link to the Sam Houston page also in the show notes so people can go and follow that, so that they know when those are available, and anything else you do. I'm sure if you make any appearances or anything, I'm sure it's all there on that page so people can follow.
Oh yeah, everything like
there.
that's going to be there. And then, we're trying to do what we can to help encourage and be there for folks.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you gotta every little bit helps. So if you got a few bucks, go out to the GoFundMe, donate a little bit there, watch for those bells, help Bart out. Bart's an underappreciated talent. People don't talk enough about Black Bart and how good he was.
Do you know? I mean, okay. Do you watch that show Yellowstone?
I have. Yeah, I watched some of it. Yep.
Okay, Rip on Yellowstone?
Yep.
Black Bart was his hero growing up.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, Sam, obviously, man, you're a positive story. A guy that, battled through your things, your choices, whatever else, came out better on the other side, and now is doing a lot of positive in the world. And just for you to come on here and talk about all this and want to end it by talking about helping Bart, man, that's a great thing.
Well, I want to tell about helping Bart, but I want to tell you something, because I want to help all your listeners too. I can't give you everything I have. I wished I could. I can't give you my blessings, I guess, or what is mine, but I can offer you a chance to have what I have, and that's peace of heart, and that's a relationship with the Creator. I encourage each and every one of you to read, go into prayer, and follow the Messiah. A lot of people, they say the English translation is Jesus Christ. I went through prison and everything else, man. I wanted to have a closer relationship with my God. So I've learned and I've studied. I've gone far past the King James version of the Bible. Yeah. And the Messiah's name here on earth, the name higher, most higher than any other name, is Yeshua HaMashiach, is how you say it. So I follow the Messiah, but I follow the Son. And I encourage each and every one of you to be saved and join us in heaven.
Yep. Well, Sam, thank you for your time. Like I said, I'll put up a link in the show notes to Bart's GoFundMe, to your Facebook page, so people can really just click that and easily get there to follow you, to help him. But I appreciate your time. It was fun talking to you about your career. Maybe we'll revisit, talk a little more.
Well, yeah, I want to do another one of these pretty quick, because I want to tell you some stories. I mean, okay, I beat Moose Cholak. I don't know. He wore this great big moose head to the ring.
Well, I grew up in Indiana, so I love Moose Cholak.
Okay, when he climbed up on the top rope to get in the ring, I hit the ropes, because Nelson Royal told me to always make sure that your equipment is good. Make sure nothing's sticking out of the turnbuckles. The ropes are tight. No weak spots in the floor. So I'm checking the ring up. He climbs up to the top rope to jump in the ring. I hit the ropes. He fell off backwards, knocked himself out. I got the 10 count and the victory.
That's a strategy there.
I killed Bullwinkle Moose, I thought, man.
Anyway. Moose.
Hey, Dave, thank you so much for having me. I definitely want to do this again.
We will. Like I said, we've kind of did an overview today, so next time we'll really dive in and get into some deep stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Fans International Association is back. That's right, the premier fan club association of the 1970s and 1980s has been revived and is back in business. Join today. It's free at thedavedynasty.org. That's THEWFIA.org. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/WFIA 1969.
All right, welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia. Thank you to Sam Houston for coming on and talking to me. What a fun interview that was, man. Sam's a good guy, fun to talk to, and like I said, the intention is for us to do this again in the future, so that we can really dive a little deeper into some stories and stuff. I wanted to give kind of an overview of his career, kind of hit the highlights with today, because I think Sam's kind of a guy that gets overlooked a lot in history. He was a great worker. As he mentioned, he was a skinny dude, which, maybe, kind of worked against him in the 80s, obviously, but a great worker. And, Jim Cornette's called him out of, the family there, called him the best worker of the bunch, just had the size working against him. So I just wanted to do kind of a career overview and hit some of the highlights, but Sam, he had some great stories to tell there, but he's got a lot more. So we'll probably have him back on in the future and touch those, on those other stories. Excuse me. Got fumbled on my words. Once again, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you listen, follow us on the social medias, buy a shirt, do all those things. And hey guys, I know, man, online, especially in social media, fandoms can be very, very toxic, right? And very divisive, and people like that for some reason. Not me. Just remember, man, don't get sucked into that stuff. Just remember what I always say, just support the things you like, forget and ignore the things you don't. Let's try to have some positive influence into the professional wrestling fandom and community, and man, let's each of us be a little better. Let's be better people than that. Again, we'll come back in 2 weeks with another episode. Thank you for listening. I am Dave Dynasty. This is Wrestling Nostalgia, and in 2 weeks we'll have a new episode. But until then, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and always keep on growing.